Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6 adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising in the Star Ledger, El Nuevo Coquí, Haiti Progrès, and Luso Americano newspapers, and by distribution to administrative offices of the Newark Public Schools. A copy of this meeting notice was forwarded to City Hall for posting. This is a regular advisory board meeting Tuesday, February 22nd, 2011. Mr. Jeffries.
Here.
Ms. King. Here. Mr. Lamort. Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Ms. Pintor.
She is here.
She is here.
She's here. She's here.
Okay. Mr. Rivera.
Here.
Ms. Romero. Ms. Davis Spate. Ms. White.
Welcome everyone to our February public meeting. It's very beautiful to see so many faces in this room tonight. We will begin with our salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will quickly have greetings from the 15th Avenue Elementary School, but I think we would be remiss without first recognizing our interim superintendent, Ms. Deborah Terrell. This is her first public meeting. I know many folks in the room know Ms. Terrell. She's a Newarker. She's a longtime educator in our district, vice principal at Ann Street. She was a part of the leadership team that brought the first National Blue Ribbon School to Newark at Ann Street. She then went to Harriet Tubman and once again brought another National Blue Ribbon Award to our district. And for the last year, up until a couple weeks ago, she was the regional superintendent for the East Central Ward region, and now is the interim superintendent, and we're very privileged to have her. One more round of applause for Ms. Terrell. And so before we begin the business of our meeting, we would like to have greetings from Principal Kalina and the children and staff of 15th Avenue School.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Terrell, parents, Newark Public School employees, and community members. My name is Mona Lisa Kalina, and I'm the principal of 15th Avenue School. I am honored to be able to host tonight's advisory board meeting, and it's a pleasure to see so many faces here. Here at the 15th Avenue School, my staff and I work collaboratively to educate all our children. And tonight, we have a special treat. Our 8th students are going to be putting on an African dance for you in honor of Black History Month. So due to spacing issues, we may not be able to perform as well as we could, but they're still going to do a fabulous job. So please sit back and watch our students perform. Thank you. If I can just introduce our dance teacher, Ms. McCoy Franklin, and she's been working with the classroom teachers to put on that.
Yes, and I first of all want to thank my new superintendent, okay? Please give her a hand, Ms. Deborah Terrell. She used to be my principal, and I love arts-friendly principals. We get so much done with that. Okay? And once again, I've been blessed to come into a school with an art-friendly principal. Ms. Kalina, please give her a hand. Due to a slip and fall, I did not come to work this year until the 3rd of January. So my students have put this dance together for all of you this evening after about 6 weeks worth of work. I've been very mean to them, okay, but they've been working very, very hard. Their full Heritage Month program next week, Thursday, March 3rd at 5 o'clock. Please come out and support them. Now, my students were used to performing on the stage. Then I was told this morning we couldn't perform on the stage, so we rehearsed down here in the orchestra pit. Now I've been told we obviously can't even get in the orchestra pit. So we're going to get up there and try our best to give you something. Okay, the first dance that you'll see by Ms. Durr's class. Ms. Durr, please stand up so we can recognize you. Ms. Durr's will be doing the West African wash dance. This is a dance a dance drama performed by first graders depicting how washing or laundry was done back in the day before they invented washing machines and dryers. I give you the West African wash dance. And my students will be singing in English and in Spanish. And hopefully, all of them are not here, luckily, so we can fit on the stage. Hopefully, you'll be quiet enough and they will sing loudly enough that you'll be able to hear them. We give you the West African wash dance. Okay, the next dance and our last piece that you'll, yes, you can give up my first graders a hand, please. Next, you're going to see my fourth graders. This is Ms. McCall's class. Is Ms. McCall here? Okay, Ms. McCall, please give her a hand. She's up top. She's such an angel. You should have known she'd be in the heavens. Okay, her class is going to, and these are her drummers also. It's from Ms. McCall's class. Okay, our ladies from the fourth grade, Ms. McCall's class, is going to do a welcome dance called Funga. It comes from the West African country of Nigeria, and the song, I'm sorry, from Liberia, and the song is from Nigeria. We give you Funga. Schools African dance. And I would, you drop something? Okay, good. Go. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank our PTA president, Ms. Goldstreet, our PTA vice president, Ms. Street, and then also the other teacher in the room with Ms. Durr, that's Ms. McElroy. All right, thank you. Please give them a hand. Thank you very much, people. We appreciate you. You okay?
Excuse me.
Another round of applause, please, for our young performers from 15th Avenue. Okay, so you'll do it in your piece, parent recognition. Oh, no, no. Talking about the line, please. We have a series of approvals of minutes of prior years. We have a series of minutes approvals from August 09 through April 2010. I feel like there's an echo on this. I don't feel it's a Okay. We have a series of minutes approvals of minutes spanning from August 2009 through April 2010. Does any board member have any edits, changes, additions to the minutes of that period? Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. We'll now go to the report of the advisory board chair. And I want to say, you know, this is a beautiful turnout. We're not accustomed to this sort of turnout. We wish we would have this sort of turnout at every meeting. I want to say at the outset, can folks hear me? Can folks hear me? Can folks hear me now? I want to say at the outset that the board, we obviously read the paper like the rest of the community did, and we were very surprised to hear about some of these specific plans that are being considered for our district. The board had no knowledge of these specific plans. We feel that's very disrespectful. We believe that's very disrespectful to this board. We believe it's very disrespectful to the parents and community that elected this board. The board, we support aggressive school reform. We support improving the education our kids receive, but we actually believe it should be done democratically. That has to be done in partnership with the parents and the community. We've emphasized this repeatedly. We've emphasized this in our private conversations. We've emphasized this publicly. So we were very disappointed to see that plans had been fleshed out to this level of specificity. It's very important for the public to know that I myself, on behalf of the board, called the commissioner after I read the article, and he assured me that these are still draft plans, that nothing is final, that there's an opportunity for the board and the community to react to these plans. We said we're going to hold him to that word. We said that we take very seriously our obligation to represent this community, which is what we've been elected to do. But we also said very clearly that we're deeply disrespected by this process, that this is not the way we can do school reform. There has to be a more collaborative, more transparent means by which we do this work, and we're very clear about that. So we just wanted to make sure we were clear, because we cannot control what other people do or not do, but what we can control is what we do, and we wanted to be very clear and very transparent about what we know, what we don't know, and we also want to be very clear about the values that motivate what we do. And a fundamental value for us is openness, is transparency. That's how we've done our business. That's how we will continue to do our business. So I wanted to have a conversation about that. 5 new district schools, and obviously I myself obtained the plan from the press, so I have no problem saying that. So I find it very offensive that this board has to get information leaked from the press rather than through a more official means by which we share information. Does any other board member want to speak on these issues at all in terms of the events over the last couple days?
I just want to concur with our chair that we feel that it was an insult for us to learn this information the same way you learned the information. We always talk about communication, and what could be more important than our students their parents to know what's going on. So we're not doing, we want to make it very clear that we want the community involved, we want to be involved, we want you to know everything, because we're here because of the children are here. And you as parents are one of the most important people that should know what's going on. They're your children. So we're disappointed the way things happen, and we'll continue to talk about and ask for everyone to be involved in the process, to know everything, to be not just to know, but be involved in that process of what's happening. And we are truly, all of us, are disappointed the way it went.
Mr. Rivera?
Yeah, first I'd like to commend you, Board Chair, because I've seen you over the past few months fight for and argue for the board to be represented in this process, as well as the community. And I have to agree with you. I think you said it all, not to beat a dead horse, but it was a blatant disrespect, and not reaching out to us, not knowing and finding out through the newspaper or through other people just goes to there really wasn't any type of transparency. So again, I commend you and I thank you, and I think as a board as a whole, we need to continue to fight to make sure that we're part of that process and that the community is represented as well. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate what our board president stated here tonight, and I think if we all go around to the 8 board members that are here, we were elected on this board for a reason, to represent every single child and their parents. What was done to us and how we found out of this process was unjust and disrespectful. And we look forward to hearing more information, and hopefully in the future things will be given to us a little differently.
I want to also say that my knowledge of this information, I received this information around 8 o'clock last night from a parent who called me very concerned about History High School and about the plans for History High School. And I want to say publicly that I think that this Christie administration need to apologize not just to this board, but they need to apologize to the Newark community. I think that they owe it to us, because we as elected officials have to answer to the people, and when we do wrong, we have to apologize to the people for what we do wrong. So I think that the Christie administration need to apologize to this board and this community for what they have done to us. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments on this topic from any board member? Last thing I want to say on this broad topic is, as we've said at several board meetings since the board in November adopted the board's and district's self-grade, finding that we're ready for local control, we believe that at the heart of this issue is the fact that we're in our 16th year of takeover. And what that means is, that means you all are disempowered. And that means we have to beg and we have to plead and we have to elbow our way into decisions. We believe takeover must come to an end. It's been 16 years. The people of Newark need to be re-empowered so that we can be at the front of this table rather than being in a subordinate position, which is where we've been for a long period of time right now. So that's very important. I'm told that we've reached the fire code limit for the number of people who can get in this building. So we see a few empty seats. If anyone has bags on seats, or if anyone has small babies that maybe they can put on their lap, if you could please do that, because we may be able to get more people in here. But security is telling us that we've reached our code limit, and we wouldn't have any choice but to close the doors if we can't free up some space in here. We'll now move to we have a resolution. We have a resolution to honor Amiri Baraka, and I'll turn over the proceedings to our Vice Chair Barbara King to address that.
Good evening again. This resolution... No problem. First, I want to say that this resolution is long overdue in the Newark Public School District, and we owe it to our youngest member of the board, Mr. Marquise Lewis. And the program is on the 28th, but we thought while we have our meeting that we should read it, the resolution now. Whereas Imamu Amiri Baraka, born 1934 as Everett Leroy Jones, is a native Newarker who has achieved international recognition as an author, essayist, poet, dramatist, and jazz musician connoisseur. And whereas he has written more than 40 books of essays, poems, dramatic pieces, musical reviews, and critiques. And whereas his high school educational background includes Rutgers University, Columbia University, New School for Social Research, and Howard University. And whereas he received his Bachelor of Arts degree at Howard University in 1953 and spent 2 years in the United States Air Force, and whereas Amiri Baraka, as founder and director of the Black Arts Repertory Theater School in Harlem, became renowned as the founder of the Black Arts Movement in the 1960s, which became the blueprint for the new American theater aesthetics. And whereas during the 1960s, Baraka published Blues People, which Langston Hughes described as a must for all who would more knowledgeably appreciate and better comprehend America's most popular music. Whereas Blues People has been described as the most influential volume of jazz and criticism from that year up to the present, and whereas Baraka also wrote the play The Dutchman, which received the Obie Award during the 1964. And whereas Baraka, also influential in the Newark Civil Rights Movement during the 1960s, produced his second book, Jazz Criticism, entitled Black Music. And whereas he was the key figure in the organization of the Congress of African Peoples in 1970 and worked tirelessly to help elect the City of Newark first African-American mayor, Kenneth Gibson. And whereas the Library Journal has described Amiri Baraka as one of the sentimental figures of contemporary black writing, a poet, a playwright, a novelist, critic, and political activist. And whereas Amiri Baraka has remained committed to his roots in Newark, where he and his wife Amina have worked diligently, raised a family, and sponsored young artists while promoting poetry and music for generations to experience. Now, therefore, on this 22nd day of February in the year 2011, the Newark Public School Advisory Board does resolve to recognize the achievements of Imamu Amiri Baraka with permanent room in his honor at the Marion A. Bolden Student Center, where students can nurture the creative gift that he has expounded and shared for 5 decades.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept?
I think that's in order.
Do we have a motion to accept the resolution as read? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion is passed. Mr. Lewis?
Mr. Chair, I want to say I had a speech teacher who was the speech team coach for Arts High School, who was the best friend of Amiri Baraka, Halim Suleiman. And I want to say on this day, I could see Halim looking down, smiling down on this board for doing something that was long time overdue, and that's to recognizing a historian, a person who deserves respect in his community. And I think that this is just the beginning of the respect that Newark will show Amiri Baraka, and I hope that the city council and our state government will also take leadership in recognizing the legacy of Amiri Baraka. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think we should do the resolution after, but I just...
Okay, the Vice Chair?
Yes. Also, I just wanted to add on that I personally owe a lot.
Talk about something else. Let's talk about what's happening to our children. That's what
We are going to talk about it, but we're going to have
Order. Ma'am, we will get to that part of the agenda, ma'am. If you just allow us to continue, we will get to that part of the agenda. Thank you. The Vice Chair.
I'm going to say something because
Yeah, no, go ahead. Please, order. We're going to get to. We
have a lot. Well, I'm not going to wait.
Hello?
Mic check, 1, 2.
Thank you. What I wanted to say and what I think it represents to all of us, one thing we will do is be respectful to each other. If not, we'll just wait until you finish.
Excuse me. We need to have order in here so we can continue the meeting and so we can do the business of the board. Ma'am, if you can't allow us to continue the meeting, ma'am, you're going to give us no choice but ask to call for security. We don't want to do that. We want to continue with our agenda, but you're disrupting the meeting right now. So can we please continue? We'll have public participation. We got a substantive agenda. We want to get to it. We want to hear from everyone. Please allow us to continue through the meeting, please. Vice Chair. Vice Chair. Go, Barbara. Just do your thing. Yeah.
Is this working?
Just say what you gotta say, bro. We need order. We need order. We have very serious business that we want to be able to get to and have a very serious conversation about where we're going for our children. So we really want to get to the business of this meeting. Listen, we're here to do business today. We're going to get there shortly. I'd much rather, if we move the business rather than having this back and forth, we can get there quicker. So let's please go. Vice Chair.
Yes. One of the things that we need to do is be more respectful towards each other. We have a long meeting tonight. We have a lot of business to take care of. And as role models, as adults, we want our children to act this way. So what I wanted to say in lieu of that, I wanted to say that I am personally thankful for the work of Amiri Baraka and his family, and that being involved during the 60s, I know a lot of people that are here tonight who was involved, and that's the reason we can stand here today. If you look at the way it was during that time and the way it is now, we wouldn't have had the choice that we have now to speak. So I want to say personally, thank you to Amiri Baraka and his family for the work he's done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you very much. We have a car that's blocking folks from getting out. So if this is your car, if you could please move your car. It's a Mercedes-Benz, license plate ZVH93L. You're blocking the parking lot. People cannot get out the parking lot. A Mercedes-Benz, license plate ZVH93L. We will now move to the report of the State District Superintendent, Ms. Deborah Terrell.
Good evening. No, it's not working. Good evening. There's a lot. I'm very pleased to see all of you out here today. I am very pleased, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I have some information to share with you. In the past, I used to sit in that side of the audience. I used to sit there. Now I'm up here. What I have to share with you today, you all need to hear. Because what I'm hearing right now, the powers that be, whoever they are, expect us to be reactive. They expect this meeting to be about you shouting at us, telling us the problem, we weren't transparent. They're not expecting a plan of action. That's what I want to talk to you about. That's what I want to talk to you about. So I'm going to ask the audience to please be respectful, because the other thing we have to keep in mind, we do have some of our children in here. What messages are we giving them? Because it is our children that will feel the impact of this change to our school system. And it's up to the adults in this room. If you want to talk to me, I'll talk to you when I'm finished. We have to deal with the issue. So before I get into my presentation, there are some students we do want to recognize this evening, because it is about the children. All the change is about the children. See, that's the message. But that wasn't what supposed to happen. Miss Kalina, Miss Kalina, I'd just like for you to talk about the two students that we are recognizing this evening, please.
Good evening.
There's copies of this. Those.
That might be helpful.
Good evening again. I have the true pleasure of recognizing two of our 8th grade students from the 15th Avenue School. Although it says that we are a struggling school in the newspaper, I would like to showcase our students that show that we are all not struggling and that we are excelling. Our first student is Lorenzo Lloyd. He is an 8th grader. Lorenzo, please come forward. Lorenzo is being recognized for his commitment to excellence as a student who consistently receives A's and B's on all his grades and on his report card. He has demonstrated a strong sense of community, respect for his peers and teachers. In addition to his high grades, Lorenzo is a member of our boys basketball team, our student council, and our nutritional advisory committee. His teachers commend him for being very respectful of others and is a pure role model for his classmates. Congratulations, Lorenzo. Our second student that I would like to recognize is Tracy Tejada. She is also an 8th grader. Tracy is an exemplary student who always finds time to help others. She's committed to her safety patrol duties and has consistently maintained A's and B's while finding time to be active in school programs. Tracy's teachers commend her for her politeness, respect for others, and attentive directions and role model to her peers. Tracy Tejada, please come up. There were so many other students that I really would have loved to have given, awards and given recognition to tonight. It was very difficult because we do have outstanding students at the 15th Avenue School. Thank you.
We'd now like to have a facilities report by Mr. Merlino.
Good afternoon, good evening, Superintendent Terrell and Board Chairman Jeffries, Vice Chair King, distinguished guests, colleagues, parents, students. I was asked this evening to do an overview of the facilities construction and the facilities department in general, just a quick overview of what's happening, what's been going on this year. So we'll start off. Let's talk about certificates of occupancy. We have 5 new schools online. All of them have certificates of occupancy. One was received just last week for the new First Avenue school. That school went online in '07. We just received a certificate of occupancy from the SDA last week, and we are still awaiting Science High School's certificate of occupancy. We're now operating under a temporary CO that is renewed every so many months to keep us in compliance. This is the First Avenue School. Again, we received the TCO this week. Science Park High School, we are still awaiting the TCO. There's a number of issues that need to be addressed at that school in order to come into compliance. Speedway School, which went online this year, has a number of issues that need to be addressed. Although we have a CO for that school, we have a number of punch list items. I'll quickly go through them. A number of areas, the handrails have come loose. These are issues of safety. We had to close down some stairs and make corrections there. The district performed that work. We have a number of roof leaks. You'll notice that the walls are showing signs of damage from water infiltration into the building. We have a number of areas where the roof has leaked into ceiling areas in that new school. So these are issues that need to be addressed by the School Development Authority. There's a number of areas where you can see brickwork effervescence and damage from the exterior.
Mr. Molino, is your microphone working?
Yes, it is.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we also have the Elliott Street School, which was struck by lightning back in July 21st of 2006. It's been anticipated that this school would be rebuilt through insurance proceeds and the School Development Authority. We learned in the newspaper that this school is not included in the new projects that will be done in the next year and the year following, the 10 projects that were approved just recently. So Elliott Street was not approved. Demolition has taken place on that site. We are currently leasing facilities. This school is in Belleville. The students are bused there. And we also have a school from Our Lady of Good Counsel that is being used to house the students from the Elliott Street School, which burned down. South Street and Oliver Street schools, this was a campus approach. These were 2 schools that were a campus. The South Street School would accommodate 500 pre-K to 2 children, and Oliver Street, which was approved, will accommodate 800 3rd graders through 8th graders. The South Street component was not approved, so we're awaiting direction on how the SDA will implement that project and what they plan on doing with the pre-K to 2 component of that school. This is the school that was approved. This is the only school approved on the list that was just published in the press release from the SDA. So we anxiously await the construction of that school. South Street School was not approved by the SDA. That school will not be constructed at this time. We're not sure where it is in this cycle. We await further information. West Side High School has not been approved. That was a school that initially was the students were going to be put into the old Central High School building while we retain control of that building. That building had been sold, and the agreement was it would be used as swing space until the new West Side High School was built. Due to delays on the construction of that project, the closing took place on the Central High School building, and it was transferred, ownership was transferred, so that building is no longer available for swing space. Under the new plan, the SDA then said they would demolish the West Side High School once the new high school was built on site. There were community meetings back in 2009 in which presentations were made to the community. This was a conceptual plan of the new West Side High School. This was the concept of the high school along with the football stadium. This is dated November of 2009. Construction was to begin next year on this project, but again, that project has not been approved. Central High School, as you know, has been occupied. We have been awaiting signage on that school from the SDA. That's the only school, one of the new schools that was built that did not include signage. For some reason, it was left out. Just to go through expenditures of the School Development Authority to date on these projects. Elliott Street, they've expended $14.5 million in a design-build package that was put out to bid, and then it was challenged in a lawsuit, so that school has not moved forward. Gladys Hillman Jones, again, was removed from the 2008 capital project plan. $5.3 million was expended on that school. Oliver Street School, which is the one that has been approved and will be constructed either next year or the year after, we're not sure at this point. $18.6 million was expended to date. South Street School, which was not approved and will not be built in this cycle, $14 million was expended on that. And West Side High School, which again will not be built at this time, $19.8 million was expended on that project. Going through projects that were in site investigation, I just listed here all of the projects that were in site investigation and the cost to date that's been paid out for site investigation or other work on those projects. I won't go through them all, but there was some $72 million spent. Altogether, the SDA has under contract for design services and site work $162,736,000. Out of that, they've spent to date $140,730,488, and we don't have any classrooms yet for that. Moving on, the Newark Public Schools bond, if you recall, several years ago, a bond referendum or a bond was passed in order to do some capital improvements. These are projects that are ineligible under the School Development Authority. They will only build school construction. They will not build ancillary sites or other alternative use sites. School construction, stadium, the project started in December of '09. That's what the artist rendition is. The project expected to be finished in the spring. Work has been ongoing up on that site. The bleachers are in place. You can see some of the facade, the colonnade facade is going up and it's in place. That's a shot from one of the bleachers. You can see quite a bit of site work has been done. There are 3 buildings built on that site already, moving it along, and we anticipate that to be completed on target in the early spring, so that project will be available. This is a project managed by the Newark Public Schools themselves with internal resources and the bond referendum as the funding vehicle. The lights have gone up. All 4 light podiums, stanchions are up, and the buildings are substantially underway. Power was connected last week, and temporary heat has been removed, and heat is now being provided by the on-site heating units. Again, that's an overall site view. There were some delays due to weather. You can see the snow on that site. It did delay us somewhat, but we believe we'll be open in the spring. Weequahic High School's new gymnasium is open. We are awaiting the final, the grand opening, but the building did reach substantial completion January 14th. By the way, we did receive a C of O for this building upon substantial completion. We met all the requirements of all the inspecting agencies. That's the inside the gym before the floor was finished. That's the finished floor. We have a connecting corridor now between the 2 buildings, so you can walk undercover between the locations. We now have a new walkway outside that will be finished and dressed up. There's a new paved walkway between the locations also. This is a view of the building from the Otherman Field side. You can see what the gym looks like from that perspective. That's the logo on the floor within the new gym. SDA projects, again, we talked about Oliver Street School replacement. That is going to be built according to the press release that we've all read. South Street School replacement was not approved, neither was West Side, neither was Elliott. Those 4 projects, as of June 30th, $72 million was expended on those projects for soft costs and the site acquisition work. Other major projects that are pending, $68 million was spent on these particular projects in various site acquisition, site investigation work, and some preliminary design work. All of these projects were approved both in the initial plan in '05 and again in '09. Science Park High School is the school we just mentioned that has no certificate of occupancy. There are some issues with the atrium smoke exhaust system that need to be addressed. The DCA is pending a review of those particular projects. And then there are some punch list items having to do with floors. A lot of the floors in that building have not adhered to the concrete substrate and have to be replaced. And a lot of the door hardware was defective in that building. First Avenue School, we received the certificate last week. There are a number of items to be addressed there still in order to finish that project. Those are punch list items having to do with the final completion of that project. Central High School, again, we're missing exterior signage on that building. There's some issues with the security recorder system, and we're awaiting the testing of the waterproof membrane. That's the school that we pump about 50,000 gallons of water a day out of the basement area because of the area it was constructed in. Park School is completed. We have a CO. We have some issues there that we're awaiting punch list addressing by the SDA and the contractors to finish those issues. There are not a lot of them, but they need to be resolved. Speedway School, again, I showed you prior pictures of some of the damage caused by the roof that need to be addressed, and there are some issues with the cooling tower and punch list items. There's also the issue of the outdoor recreation space. There was a proposal to take some of the Newark Housing Newark Housing Authority's property and creating a temporary play space for the older children. There is a younger play area there for the pre-K through second grade area, but we're still awaiting a final resolution on the recreation for the older children. McKinley School, the aircraft noise abatement project, that included air conditioning the building and replacing the windows with noise attenuating windows. The project is substantially complete, although the chiller has not worked in the last 2 years. They claim that's been repaired, and we will await testing of that come the spring and commissioning of that system. This is just, I won't go into the detail on this. This is just projects, explains what the 13A grants are. Grants are what have been assigned to the school district. They range in value from $250,000 to $1.5 million. The SDA at their sole discretion determines which projects will be given to the school to be managed. These are some of the projects. If you notice on the right, the projects here that the district has done, we've closed out all of these projects. They are done, complete. The other projects which were sent down in 2008, August of 2008, are still awaiting Department of Education review. All of those projects are still in the review stage from August of 2008. We hope to get those approved shortly. SDA managed projects, again, they go in value anywhere from $250 million on up. There's really no limit on the upper limit on health and safety projects from them, the ones that are approved. If you notice, some of them are in construction. Some of them have been canceled. Again, these go back to August of 2008. Some of them are originated in December of '07, and some of them have been revised this year because the scope of work has expanded. You'll notice some of these that are dated 10. These were expanded scopes, most of them due to continuing water infiltration into the building has caused additional damage, requiring additional scopes of work to get done. Other pending projects, these are all pending projects here. You'll notice there's emergency generator, roof repairs, boiler replacement. We have 2 schools in the district that currently have boilers mounted on trucks, Ridge Street and Hawkins Street School. There are no boilers functioning within the building, so those are truck-mounted rental boilers that we're using. Again, this list is quite extensive. There are 61 schools, projects on that list of schools awaiting action as far as the emergent projects being approved. As you can see, a lot of them were updated in 2010 to reflect continuing damage from the elements. Sidewalk bridging. This is 18th Avenue School, sidewalk bridging. We have a number of schools, you'll see a chart in a minute, that depicts all of the sidewalk bridging. This was put up to protect pedestrians from falling brick. at these locations where the building envelope is not secure, and we've had falling brick, lentils coming off the building. You'll notice that this panel blew off in the wind. These things require constant maintenance. Some of them, you can see it's weathered, have been up so long that the sidewalk bridging itself is becoming a problem and must be repaired on a regular basis, including the lighting underneath these. They're all lit and illuminated, and that has to be maintained by the district. The city has asked several times, this letter is dated August of 2010, the city has asked why sidewalk bridging continues to be in place at Burgoa Avenue School. We did respond to this letter and advised them that we are awaiting completion of projects by the School Development Authority. As late as last week, Senator Rice's office called due to some constituent complaints about that school also, and again, we advised them that we hope to have that work done by the SDA this summer. This is the list of rental sidewalk scaffolding. The district rents this scaffolding. It comes out of my operating budget in order to pay for this until the SDA initiates the project, and then they will reimburse the district. Some of this goes back quite a while. You can see 2004 18th Avenue sidewalk bridging has been in place since. There are new projects on the list, such as Maple Avenue. The county did just approve an emergency there. We do have an emergency declaration. We will be erecting sidewalk bridging there. That's the school, if you remember, the First Lady visited, and a piece of lentil came down off the third floor of the building and embedded itself in the lawn of that building a few days before her arrival. Also on that list is several other buildings that are Warren Street School is not on that list. That's a recent one that we just put bridging up. On a good note, we did receive a National Mentorship Award for our indoor air quality program, how we manage asthma triggers in the Newark schools, so that's a good note. We just did receive from American School and University in December an award for green cleaning. Our green cleaning program was amongst the 4 best rated ones in the country. This is the new Park Street School. We used that to demonstrate it, and we did get an honorable mention for that. 1 of 4 awarded in the country, 1 top achiever. Some other projects we're working on in the district. In October, we had a groundbreaking for the solar panel systems that have been installed in the district. This is the Camden Middle School carport system. This is where we put panels over a parking area, and we will be generating power. This system right here is returning about $12,000 a month to the district in savings. This is the new Central High School, again, an initiative initiated by the district. These are solar panels put on the roof of the new Central High School. This is the Park Avenue School. Again, solar panels were put on by the district in conjunction with a partnership with Public Service. If you notice there, that's a carport covering the parking lot. Those are solar panels over the parking lot. This is state-of-the-art stuff. This is Barringer High School. This is one of the largest solar arrays on a school system in the country. Okay, there's over 3,000 panels on that one school alone. Altogether, we've installed to date over 10,000 panels. This is a group of students that we are running through a program to educate them on what solar projects are all about. We walk them through. They're involved from the design initiation phase, and they're going to learn what solar systems are all about. We're talking about a Green Energy Academy and involving students in those programs. This is a state-of-the-art green jobs program that we hope our kids are going to learn and build from on jobs that 4 or 5 years ago didn't exist. Tomorrow, the district has due a request for proposal to do 55 additional schools with solar panels. We're anxiously awaiting that proposal tomorrow to see what the developers propose doing. We gave them 55 locations to consider installing solar panels. Another thing we did was we got out of a lease that we had for our facility support division. We moved this 18,600 square foot facility, and it is now located in a north and south hub, one based at Shabazz High School, one based at Technology High School. This will improve service delivery to our schools and efficiency, and it eliminated a lease, so it's a cost-saving move. We continue to experience problems in our schools as our aging infrastructure gets older and older. This is a school that was discovered last week. If you notice, the electrical panels here are beginning to deteriorate substantially. We opened that panel. We found this during the solar review. All of the solar developers were asked to go through our buildings. This panel was discovered in one of our schools. We will declare an emergency and have that replaced. But again, that's what's happening to school buildings as we defer maintenance over the years. They continue to get worse and worse. Also a good note, snow plowing. The district 2 years ago began an initiative to clear snow ourselves. Our staff bought into this. Our staff has done a tremendous job in clearing snow. We had a record 65.7 inches of snow this year alone.
Excuse me, can we please finish
One more slide, I'm done, I believe. So the district we offset this year $450,000 worth of contracted service. That's what it would have cost us to have our vendor remove that 65.7 inches of snow. That was done with our in-house personnel. That concludes my presentation, and I'll certainly...
Mr. Chair.
Let me get one. Mr. Rivera, Chair of the Facilities Committee.
Thank you.
One thing, I'm sorry. We have another car blocking the lot, blocking folks in. It's a Pontiac, license plate WEP77M. If you have a Pontiac, license plate WEP77M, please move your car so people can get out of the lot. Thank you. Okay, does any of these work?
Thank you, Mr. Morlino. Just as far as the questions you had, we have acquired questions over time that we want you to address today. That most of it was answered here, but came from the public and us visiting schools. With the SDA, did the SDA or do they have any provisions for district sign-off and acceptance of new schools?
There is a process that the SDA uses. They used to have, if you recall, the Parsons Brinkerhoff Company was engaged for $500 million to monitor Newark's projects. They had their own exclusive oversight of our projects. We did not sign off on projects. They were looked at by the Parsons Brinkerhoff Company along with the School Development Authority, and then we were basically handed the keys at the onset of the project. So to answer your question, we don't directly approve any of these projects.
Miss, right here with the glasses, I really need you to respect this meeting. We have a lot of important business. You may not think what's happening with the facilities our babies go to school to every day, but we do. And if you could please allow us to continue the meeting, please. Because if you continue, we're going to have no choice but ask you to move, to be removed. So please, if you can just allow this meeting to continue, we can move quickly and get to the other parts of the business of the meeting. Mr. Molino.
Any other questions?
Mr. Marlino, I want you to make it clear to the public, the money for Westside High School was already allocated to SDA for them to build Westside High School, am I right?
Yes, the original plan, when the plan called for Westside High School to use the old Central High School as swing space, and the school to be constructed, the kids would have been moved into the old Central High School. At that point, the project was about a $68 million project. When the transferred ownership and was no longer available to the district as swing space, the SDA came up with a plan in order to build a new school on the existing site, then tear down the existing school when the kids moved over, and then build the athletic stadium at that site. That increased the price of the project to about $120 million. That money was approved and earmarked. Again, after the review process that just recently took place, it's been removed from the list.
So can I make a motion from you, Mr. Chair, that we get a letter sent to SDA asking them what happened to the money that was allocated to Westside High School. Because if the money was there, that means we have money to build. Now, we want to know where the money is going. Did they use it for some other project, you know, not in Newark, or who's spending the money?
Right. Absolutely. We'll follow up on that, Mr. Lewis, and I think to this point, it's very important for the public to know as well that the board has been aggressively fighting for these facilities for several months. We actually asked Mr. Merlino in the winter to testify before the Assembly Education Committee on these facilities issues. We've met with lawyers to talk about litigation to potentially compel the state to continue to build these schools. This district joined the current Abbott litigation to a large degree to make sure that we get the schools that our kids deserve. As Mr. Merlino said tonight, we have 4 shovel-ready projects that had already been approved. Money had already been allocated. Money had already been spent. Of those 4, Mr. Merlino, just 1 was approved, right?
That's correct.
And what were the 3 that were taken off? West Side?
West Side, South Street, and Elliott Street will not be constructed under that program.
So we're going to ask for all 3 of those schools, what happened with the money that was already spent, what was the money that happened that was already allocated, and we're going to explore every option, legal and otherwise, to get every last school built that was supposed to be built. So in addition to West Side, we're going to follow up on those other schools as well.
And also, Mr. Molino, Speedway damage, the damage that's in the new building that we just had a grand opening for, who is responsible for handling all damages to this building? Because I think that is, you know, is inexcusable that a new building that was just opened had this much damage to it.
The roof on that building is still under warranty, so the contractor, the developer, is obligated to honor the roof warranty. There are a number of things in that building that need to be addressed. Some of them, the warranties have run out, some of them haven't. So it depends on when those items were completed. But the roof is the requirement of the School Development Authority to take care of. One of the issues we have, and has been ongoing, is that there is no commissioning of these buildings. As a building is being commissioned, although the School Development Authority says that they apply for LEED, or they build them to LEED compliancy, which is a rating system, we have yet to have a building rated by the LEED organization, which is the Green Building Council. And so there is no commissioning taking place. And basically what that is from the conception of the project all the way through the design and the construction and the final completion. Normally there's a commissioning agent involved who oversees every aspect of that and makes sure that every component, every system is built to the design intent, and if not, the developer and the designer have to correct that situation. Unfortunately, we haven't had that process take place in any of our schools.
So would I be right by requesting that since SDA owe us money anyway, and that since they already was sneaky and did things behind our back when it came to building Speedway, will we be able to request that they handle all the damages that's taking place at Speedway at this point?
I can assure you we have made that request. And we are awaiting some action on those requests.
Well,
we have made those requests. Whether or not they'll honor them.
And we have to, let's put pressure on them with this board body, the Westward Councilman, Freeholder, and the Senator. Let's put some pressure on them to make sure that they do what they have to do.
Ms. Speak. Ms. Speak.
Why? Why is Oliver Street the only school that was approved? And what do we have to do differently to get Westside, to get the other schools approved? Why are they keep being denied? And what do we have to do differently to make sure that they get
I really don't have the answer to that. We were notified in the newspaper of the, as a matter of fact, I was notified by the Star-Ledger when they called and asked for comments on why that was approved. No one communicated with us the rationale. We're still awaiting from the School Development Authority the rationale and the reasoning for certain schools to exceed other schools. And again, this was across the state. There were 51 schools to be built. That list has been whittled down to 10. Newark is getting getting one school, the Oliver Street School, Patterson's getting 2 schools, and Jersey City's getting 2 schools. We're getting 1 school, and some other districts we're getting 1 school.
Gotcha. And I don't know, what I would suggest is, I guess, going over Oliver Street plan and the other schools' plans that was approved, I guess we can look at how they got approved and why West Side is still being rejected, so we can see what we're doing wrong, the reason why
As
it's
soon
not
as we
there.
get a copy of the plan, we'd be glad to review it. We haven't seen it yet.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Ventura.
Mr. Merlino, I have a question. I know that Speedway has their issues, but I know some of our newer schools also do. With regards to SDA replacing some of those items, I know that you said some of them are still under warranty. Is that warranty when the school was built or when the school received their CO and it was being occupied? Because I know there's a difference.
The way the process works is as certain systems are installed and reach substantial completion, the countdown begins on the systems. Again, it's a bit ambiguous the way it's done, because you could have an elevator that's finished and it doesn't get into service and actually used for 6-8 months, a year goes by, and then the warranty is already beginning to expire and you haven't really utilized that, such as the McKinley chiller was installed and completed 2 years ago. It hasn't run since. They told us it's been fixed over the winter, so we've asked them to extend that contract into the spring and summer so we can run that system and see if it actually works. They said they would try and honor that.
Okay, before we get to this last question, we have 2 more cars that are again blocking the parking lot. Please, if you have an Acura Legend, a white Acura Legend, license plate UTD 886, actually we have 3 cars. We have gray Volkswagen, license plate YSE92V, and we have an Ion blue, license plate JMG26X. So if you can move those 3 cars so people can get out the parking lot, we appreciate it. Mr. Rivera?
Mr. Mulley, just one more question regarding the scaffolding that the district is required to provide by the SDA. Instructs us to provide the scaffolding, am I correct?
Yes, we are asked to, when we declare an emergency, there's a multi-step process. We have to apply to the county superintendent's office and declare the emergency. They come out and inspect it, and if they agree with us, they declare an emergency. At that point, we send the project down to the Department of Education, who has to review it. If they concur, they forward it on to the School Development Authority, or they hold it for design review and various things. In the interim, the only thing we can do is stabilize the site. And site stabilization normally is, in the case of falling brick, we can put scaffolding up to keep the bricks from falling on students or pedestrians walking by. That's the extent of what we can do under the current legislation.
And how much did the scaffolding cost us until the SDA comes and addresses the
We pay
situation?
a rental fee and we pay a service fee monthly for them to come out and inspect it. In some cases, Wilson Avenue School is a good example. We had some work done over there by the Department of Environmental Protection having to do with the benzene problem that occurred there last year, which has been resolved. But during that process, the chimney came to light because the chimney had a fence put around it a number of years ago, and the School Development Authority asked us if we would restabilize it because it had been there so long. So we went out and had some scaffolding designed for the height of that chimney. It turned out that the rental of the scaffolding, and when we got up there and saw what the damage was, it was cheaper for the district to actually repair the chimney. We actually performed the School Development Authority's work in advance of them. They couldn't get there until next summer, so we didn't think it would hold up that long. So we went in and did emergent repairs, and actually less than the cost of the scaffolding, it cost us to repair the entire project.
Thank you. Yeah, how much was the scaffolding?
The scaffolding, from what I put before, was about
so we can continue.
$430,000 district-wide.
Vice Chair.
It comes out of the district budget.
Please, 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 we really do want to get to the business. We'll be able to do that quicker if we can have respect for the presentations so that people can hear the information. So if we could please continue through the presentation. We really like to move through this as quickly as possible. The Vice Chair. This one.
Ms. Molino, with all these emergencies, especially the scaffolding.
It's not. I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
How long has it been? Can you hear? Okay. Mr. Molino, with all these emergencies, especially the scaffolding, and the state said they will get back to them, how many years and what danger does all these different buildings cause to the students, to the community, and the possibility of suits? How many years would you say, how long has it been since you've been asking the state to come out, take care of it?
You're next.
Excuse me?
18th Avenue, is this on? 18th Avenue, the scaffolding's been in place since 2004. So what we do is, one of the reasons the scaffolding is in place there is because the building...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
One of the reasons the scaffolding...
Once again, order, please, order, please, so we can continue. This is very, well, we want to hear this. We want to make sure our kids are in safe facilities. We care about that, and we need to continue the meeting. If we can't have order, we're going to have to remove people. We do not want to do that. If you can please allow us to continue with the agenda, we'll get to the other items that it seems like people want to hear. So, Mr. Molino, please.
Some of the reasons for the scaffolding in place is to protect falling brick. And when you don't repair the brickwork on the building or a leaking roof, what we call a leaking envelope, the building envelope between the windows, the lintels, the brick pointing, the roof structure itself, penthouses on the roof, sometimes leaders and gutters, various other building components leak. What happens is each passing storm that we have, whether it be a snowstorm or a nor'easter of significant rain, we wash out some of the plaster and the mortar in the joints of the buildings, and water infiltrates these buildings. Each freeze-thaw cycle, the building gets worse. So in other words, when water gets into the cracks and crevices of the brick, and then we get freezing weather like we have experienced this winter, the bricks freeze and expand. They have nowhere to go but to pop off the building. So when the building is not watertight, bricks begin to fall on the outside and plaster begins to fall on the inside. Now what also happens on the inside of the building, as buildings get wet, as the building material gets damp and wet, sometimes you get mold growth. Within 48 hours, if you don't control the water infiltration into a building, you can get mold growth on any organic materials within that building. So that's a constant process where we send painters and plasters and masons into the building and attempt to do cosmetic repairs and address these issues as they occur, so you don't get flaking and effervescence on the students. This is when you get peeling paint and you get plaster popping off the top of the building in various classrooms. And it's a constant struggle we have.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lewis?
Let me. Actually, this. Hold on. Oh, excuse me.
Please, order, please, order. Mr. Lewis?
This
Order,
question
please,
came
please.
from the audience, actually,
Lewis.
and I'm asking from the audience. This question came from the audience.
Mr. Lewis, if you have a question, please ask it so we can continue, please. Is it?
Mr. Molino,
Yes, sir.
can you
Order, please, order, please. We have a board member who has a question. He has the right to ask questions. We're going to get to, these are important issues. We're going to get to that. We have a board member who has a question. He deserves the respect to be able to answer his question. We need order. We need order, please. We need order. We need order right now. We need order. We're going to come to the rest of this is wasting time right now. That's not going to matter, Valor. We need order. We're going to, if we weren't spending this time back and forth, we could get to the rest of the agenda. Can I continue the meeting? Can we continue the meeting? We want to get to it. Mr. Freeman, if we can't continue the meeting, I need this gentleman to calm down. I need my brothers over here to calm down, and we're going to have some people to move. Yeah. Okay. We need order. We need order. Look. We're gonna get to that. We're wasting 5 minutes right now. We're gonna get to this. We have bricks in schools that could be falling on kids. We actually care about fixing that, right? So we need to have a conversation on that. Okay? Mr. Lewis, do you have a question? Okay. You do not have a question. Does any other board member have a question? Okay. This is what we're going to do. Let me explain what we're about to do, okay? All right, this is what we're going to do. We have a presentation from some young people, from some children, right? We have some presentation from some children, okay? After that, we will go to the high school presentation. We have some kids who come in. After that, we will go right to the high school presentation, okay? We got some young people. It's getting late. We have some kids who come here to present. We're at a mix-up on the agenda in terms of when they're going to present. We're going to let them present right now, after we hear from the children, because it's supposed to be about the kids. We have some kids who prepared a presentation. After we heard from them, we're going to go to high school presentation. Do we have the young people from the Youth Media Symposium? Mr. Keller.
Not to complain about the state of their schools, but to come up with real solutions how we can move our kids forward in the schools that they are in right now, today.
Right.
Now, they deserve the right to have your full attention, because this is from their hearts. They don't want to see their schools closed, but they damn sure want to see them do better.
Come on.
And that's what they're going to talk about today. So give them just 5 minutes, okay? Their agenda is your agenda.
That's right.
Watch out. Children in the building. You're going to work with children. You can't be like that.
Okay, my name is Aisha Rivera, and I'm an 11th grader at Central High School. Hello, my name is Hadia Austin. I'm a 12th grader at Malcolm X Shabazz High School.
My name is Ronnie Callum, 12th grader, Malcolm X Shabazz High School.
The student voice is nowhere in the current plan for Newark. We are demanding that our voices be heard. You say no child left behind, yet you make choices without us. Currently, only 29% of Newark Public School graduates plan to enter a 4-year college, with 43% of graduates planning to attend 2-year colleges. This is scary to me in 2011. In wealthier school districts, over 80% of students plan to attend 4-year colleges. Something has to be done to make college a reality for all of us instead of a challenge that we aren't ready for. For most students, college planning is left to senior year, and students miss out on great opportunities. How can Newark students compete with other students in more affluent districts, students whose schools are preparing them to lead the world? At the Youth Media Symposium, we believe that all Newark students can do the same. In the voices of the youth, we are here to listen.
Okay. They believe that we aren't prepared for college, that we are incapable of making our environment we reside in. Why aren't our schools producing a high rate of graduates, or why aren't our students going to college at the rate of our suburban counterparts? The problem is the level of expectation in our schools and students. A good guidance counselor, in my opinion, is a counselor who helps and guides their students. Talks to them about the future, never limiting them, having a connection with them, but that isn't happening constantly in our schools. Several testimonies from some of the students in our Youth Media Symposium have also said, one of our students states that my guidance counselor only told me that I could apply to only 6 colleges. Is a guidance counselor really supposed to tell you something like that? No. I believe not. Or another students on our program state, and I don't even know my guidance counselor's name. We don't have any one-on-one time at all. This is what's happening in our schools. Guidance and college preparation is needed and is demanded that we have the quality best. Resources, guidance counselors, college trips, internships, externships are just a minimum of what we demand in our guidance policy. Newark is divided into 13 high schools, each focused on a specific major. Arts high school for the arts, science high school for science. But in many of our schools, major electives are disinteresting. They are not career-oriented as they should be. AP and college courses are very limited, and as a college-bound student who takes AP classes at Malcolm X Shabazz High School, where they only offer 2, whereas Ramsey and Livingston High School offers 16, I see a difference. Myself and YMS sees a difference. College preparation should start at 8th grade, allowing our students to get a clear idea of what they want to do in their lives, have the opportunity to change their mind, but have the resources for them. We are sitting on $100 million. This can be done in our schools, not in just suburban areas. We have the money.
In order to prepare all NORC students to graduate high school and college, we need to make college readiness a part of the school culture. Beginning in the 8th grade, the youth advocates of the ALI Youth Media Symposium present the NORC Student Support Policy as a solution. Drastic times call for drastic measures. If you know we need more, then we need to do more. Some of the district-wide changes we recommend are: 1, better 8th grade transition to high school with college and career planning with college options made available to make high school exciting. 2, a limit of 75 students per every 1 guidance counselor in all high schools. 3, meetings with students and parents freshman and junior year to plan future options and correct any issues before senior year. 4, a school culture that is centered on college preparation with a college readiness counselor in addition to the guidance counselor at every school. 5, college preparation made a part of all classes such as FAFSA and math and essays in English. 6, more resources for college applications, college tours, and SAT. 7, electives that are career-focused and have all the resources. We fear that one day we will show up to school and there will be an eviction notice on the door. That breaks my heart, especially when I know that this is the easy way out, and we will leave many of us behind. We ask that this proposal be used to move our schools and students forward. This is a real solution. We ask that the advisory board take our recommendations seriously as we plan to continue to fight for them.
This here, what we have done right now is an impact on our schools. We don't ask, we demand that you put this guidance policy into effect. A guidance counselor should not have 100 and something students if the class of seniors are 257. This is not right. You have 2 guidance counselors that has over 100 and something students. Now you're talking about money to fix schools. That's all well and good because we need the schools to go in there to learn. But listen, take half of that money and invest in some new guidance counselors. Invest in some new teachers to help us do this stuff. We can't do it on ourselves. Our parents cannot help us all the time. You are parents as well. You have jobs. Our parents have jobs. They cannot be there back and forth for us, going to school, pressuring the guidance counselor. I have to pressure my guidance counselor every day, just like I pressure you.
And I go to my guidance counselor every day. I'm not the one to sit on my butt and let someone tell me what to do. I'm salutatorian of my class, second in my class at Malcolm X Shabazz High School. And I am very important. College preparation is very important to me. Now, we may be standing up here, you may not feel, well, those kids, they're college prepared, but there are other students in the school who need help. And this is why we do this. This is why we fight. We know the issues that's going on in our school. And this is not just Malcolm X Shabazz Central High School. We have students in the Youth Media Symposium from all schools in Newark, all 13 of them. We know the issues. So that's why we up here standing up here to fight for them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Another round of applause, please, for the young people. That's democracy at work. That's democracy at work. So we look forward to the young people continuing to apply pressure where it needs to be applied. Ms. Terrell, who will present the high school presentation. I'm not changing any agenda. We're now going to the piece that we intended to go to at this point, and it's going to be the high school presentation. So thank you, sir.
You can have my permission to throw him out.
Mr. Kellum, get the mic.
Sir, if we can't have order, I'm going to have to ask security to remove you, sir. So please.
This one? Okay. All right. You know, I think our high school students said it all. They said it all. Now, I need your attention because you need to listen to what I have to say. Because I'm here to tell you about some of the proposed plans, and it's two parts. But the first thing I want to tell you is 2 weeks ago, I was asked to take the position of interim superintendent. Now, I had a choice. I could have said no. I could have said yes, and then just sit back and wait until the new superintendent, the permanent superintendent, comes in, but I did not do that. What I did was step up, and that's what I'm asking my community to do tonight, to step up, and I'm going to tell you how we're going to do that. Now, when I say my community, for those of you who don't know, I am a resident of Newark. Born, raised, attended school. My children attended school. I still live in Newark, so I am the community. So when we talk about the community, I am the community too. But I have a different role right now. I had a role as a parent, I had a role as a teacher, I had the role of a vice principal, a role as a principal, a role as a regional superintendent, and now the role of the interim superintendent. 2 weeks, I walked into a transition team that included NPS executive staff members, Rochelle Hendrick, Dr. Feinsod, and a diagnostic team. And I was introduced to some proposed planning for now. Have any of you seen this document before? The strategic plan. Everything, the plans that have been proposed are right here in the plan. And our high school students right here just now told you that many of our high school children are disenfranchised. They're not getting the education they deserve. And part of that is the fault of the adults involved. It's the adults involved. It's our fault. And if we don't recognize that we had a role in that, we can't move forward. We can't move forward, and that's what we have to do. We have to move forward. Everyone has a purpose. Every parent in this room has a purpose. Every union in this room has a purpose. Every church or faith-based organization has a purpose. But my message is, if we don't pull it together now, we cannot talk about it anymore. We cannot be behind the change. We have to be in front of the change. So when we say, and people are saying things like done deal, it's never a done deal. It's done when we say it's done. But it's got to be more than lip service. It has to be more than lip service. Now, personally, I'm an action person. I'm not doing a lot of talking. I'm more about action. So what I want to do this evening first is Dan Gould is going to present to you the proposed 5 high schools. Now, we've said that our high school's in trouble. Now, let's listen. We've been crying and putting out how frustrated we are, that we're having problems in high schools. And I'm going to tell you, on Valentine's Day, I visited 2 schools. I visited an elementary school and I visited a high school. In the elementary school, students were in uniforms, in the classroom, engaged. I asked them what they were learning. They could articulate they were learning. When I went to the high school, the majority of the students were sitting on the steps in the corridor, do-rags and hats on their head. That is totally unacceptable. We can't have that. But that's the reality of what we have. We need to be for real. That's the reality of some of our schools. It's the adults. It's the adults. I'm telling you, it's the adults. Okay? But I'm going to finish. I'm going to come back to you because excuse me. One of the first things I said as a responsibility as the superintendent, I have to let my people know what's going on. And I started with my principals because the principals were not aware. So I went to each principals meeting and I gave them the information. And if those of you who attended the meet and greets, there were 2, weren't as many people in here now, I started shedding the light, and that's my role. I believe my role is to give you information and to help make the transition, because public education, as we know it, no longer exists. We have to understand that. We can't keep talking about what we don't want, and we don't want any more of this. That's over. What are we going to do on this side? That's what we have to do. So I'm going to, well, I can't see what that is. Well, let's get the first step. Let's talk about the high schools first. Come on now, Bessie. I'm telling, do you want to know what's happening with the high schools? Well, let me show you that first, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, where's Dan? Okay.
Can we have order? We're about to get to the meet. That mic don't want to work. Good evening. Order. We're about to get to the meat of this presentation, so we could please restore order so we can hear the presentation. There's going to be very important information, some of which the board and the public will be hearing for the first time. So we would really like to have order so we can hear this presentation. Mr. Gold.
Good evening. Good evening, Superintendent Terrell, Board Chair, Vice Chair, board members, and Newark community. I am here this evening to propose a method for expanding our Heights School portfolio. This proposal will walk through the history, the diagnostic, and the proposals that we are bringing to the community this evening. In the new public school strategic plan, Great Expectations, which Superintendent Terrell referenced a minute ago, Priority 2, Section C, is defined as dramatically transforming our high schools, building a system of themed, college and career-oriented schools that ensure all students graduate prepared for college, work, and citizenship. Section D says that we must implement an aggressive strategy for turning around low-performing schools that includes reconstitution, external partnerships, full-service community schools, and other effective strategies. The key action step is that we must build a diverse portfolio of schools, offering a wide range of instructional themes, small learning communities, career academies, partnerships with higher ed and business, and multiple pathways to graduation, all designed to make learning relevant and connect high schools to the local economy. Newark Public Schools is not beginning this in 2011. Over the past several years, spanning the last 2 superintendent administrations, a number of steps in this direction have already taken place. We opened an early college high school, which was placed at L.A. Spencer with the Woodrow Wilson Foundation. We have worked with the National Academy Foundation for accreditation of our Finance Academy at Westside. We partnered with the schools that feed Central for the Global Village School Zone as part of a broader, bolder approach. We turned to our own instructional staff for the Brick Academy at Avon partnership. And we have the Alternative High School Initiative, which brought several different providers into Newark Public Schools. Our ongoing analysis is highlighted on this slide. Many of our high school and other secondary students are already choosing magnet schools. A full 30% of our high school population is enrolled in a magnet school. But our current magnet schools all use academic performance to select students. This is leaving our comprehensive high schools with students that are higher in proportion for special ed, students who have low attendance, and students who have low achievement. All 6 of our comprehensive high schools are schools in need of improvement, as rated by the federal government and the state of New Jersey. And 5 of those 6 rank in the bottom 12% of high schools in the state of New Jersey. We must have active choice as a partial remedy for this unintended tracking that we currently have. These are the steps which Newark Public Schools is proposing for the school year 2011-12. We must provide choice for high school students that allow them to stay in their neighborhood community. It is not sufficient to give a choice that requires a student and family to leave their neighborhood. We must work with school models that have demonstrated success here in Newark, in New Jersey, or a district that is similar to us. We cannot experiment with our students. We must co-locate services, programs, so that services such as custodial, food service, security can be delivered in an integrated and minimal cost. But for separate schools, we must make sure that there is separate identity. Separate entrances, classrooms, and administrations will allow for a small school to promote the kind of services which we heard our students demand here this evening. As I move into the specific school proposals, which I'm about to move to, I want to clarify some questions which have come. Each of the models I am proposing to you this evening is to be a Newark public school. They are to be staffed with union members at both the administrative, teacher, and support level. They are to be our schools, part of our portfolio. In the strategic plan, a number of desires were expressed by the community. Some of these are able to be addressed. We need more vocational options so that someone who's interested in construction, be it to work on a site or to be the architect of that site, can be there. We need gender-specific options. We need schools allowing students to earn college degrees in high school. People expressed a desire for international baccalaureate, multilingual, project-based learning, and online. We are currently proposing 5 new options that address the needs in the following ways. One school would expand project math and social studies and science, but rather projects that integrate those skills by which students will complete high school. A school connected to the construction industry that ensures internships for every student. Providing an option for students to have a school that promotes them having self-understanding and exploring their identity. A school focused on green technologies, as we heard Mr. Marlino speak earlier of solar. This is one of several emerging business trends, and expanding a new early college option. The next 5 slides will outline the schools, the partnerships, and their proposed co-locations. Let's go. The first project-based learning school would be an expansion of a program we currently have in Newark with Diploma Plus. This is a rigorous, relevant, student-centered alternative to seat time. They have served our overage and undercredited. They are currently operating a school that is operating at full capacity and has further demand. We are proposing that this new school open with a 9th grade class of 125 students that would be co-located with Barringer 9. The second proposal is a partnership with the Hedrick Martin Institute, which would be co-located at Science Park, where they already offer an after-school program. The Hedrick Martin Partnership School in New York City has over a 90% graduation rate. That compares with our 54% graduation rate here in Newark. This school would be open to all students to promote the building of self-confidence, social, academic, and interpersonal skills. It would open with a 9th grade class